It's mise on Seanchaidh, and this is Thistle Stone. The mist in Glen Fruin never lifts for long. It clings to the corries like a hunted thing, and in the silence between the burns you can still hear the same cry that has haunted these hills for 700 years. Ard Culla, Ard Culla! There, where the black water of Loch Awe meets the heather of Balcuhidder, where the Banshee herself is said to walk on moonless nights, the MacGregors stood, outlawed, hunted, and never once bowed. This is their school, is mise on Seanchaidh, and this is Thistle and Stone. Long ago, in the mist thick as wool over Glenstrae, a crowned lion emerged from the corrie and roared to Gregor, son of Alpin's ancient line. Thy race is royal, it shall never kneel, though crowns deny thee and names be forbidden. The child laughed, and the lion's roar echoed through the glens as answer. Every MacGregor born since has carried that roar, the crooked path, the wild heart, the unbreakable pride. The glen itself swore the oath with him. Listen, the hills are still listening. Cuimhnich. From that lion-roared vow came Clan Gregor, children of Gregor, sons and daughters of the royal mist. They had no castle of stone, only the corries that hid them, the rivers that fed them, and the pride that armed them. Every chief who took the name carried the lion's promise in his blood. No crown would ever own this land while a MacGregor still drew breath. The burn ran red when the heather bloomed, and the pipes answered every sunset from caves no redcoat ever found. For centuries they lived by the old laws. Gallic judges sat beneath rowan trees, weighing honour against honour. Seanchaidh sang the night full of heroes, until the very rocks leaned in to listen. Women stood taller than any man, their vengeance colder than the frost on Rannoch moor. Yet blood calls to blood, and pride answers pride. MacGregors and Campbells tore each other across Glenorchy until the burns ran red. At Glen Fruin in 1603, 700 MacGregors cut down twice their number of Colquhouns, and the crown answered with a decree. The name itself was death to speak. Letters of fire and sword hung over every glen, from Loch Earn to Loch Katrine. A MacGregor woman could not christen her child with her own surname. A MacGregor man could not sign a lease, swear an oath, or be buried in consecrated ground. They took the names of the clans that hunted them: Campbell, Graham, Stewart, Drummond, and whispered the true one only at the hearth when the door was barred. Widows were whipped through the streets of Perth for feeding their own kin. Children were shipped to Barbados for the crime of being born. Yet every time the soldiers thought the name was dead, it rose again in another corrie, another cave, another stolen cradle. The lion roared louder than the hangman's rope. When the Jacobite star rose, the outlawed clan answered. Rob Roy MacGregor, red-haired lion of Balcuhidder, harried the redcoats from every corrie and cave. When the redcoats asked a wounded man at Sheriff Muir who he fought for, he spat blood and answered, Ard Culla, Cabia Ugam Rimivracha. The high wood. My hope is in the high wood. That cry was heard from Glencoe to Culloden Brig, from the caves of Ben Alder to the bothies of Rannoch. No chief gave the order, no piper played it. It lived in the bones of every hunted child of the mist. Then came the sheep and the silence. The same Campbells who had written the proscription now wrote the evictions. Glens that had hidden generations of MacGregors were cleared for cheviets and profit. The coffin ships left from Greenock, heavy with children who had never been allowed to speak their own name. They stood on the decks with the trossachs at their backs and the tears on their faces. And the fire did not sail with them. It stayed behind, watching over a land growing emptier by the year. And the silence never truly lifted. Today, a bothy in Glenstray that once sheltered 20 souls of royal blood is a ruin with a heritage plaque that still refuses to print the name MacGregor. A child can walk from Balquhidder to Strathire and never hear the old tongue except from a tour guide paid by the hour. The flame is kept alive in Sydney backyards and Canadian kitchens. But here, where it was born, it flickers low in the wind off the moor. The victory still tastes of ash, only quieter now, and colder. Yet the glen still hides its own. The burns still run when no rain has fallen. The MacGregors are scattered, from Breadalbin to New South Wales, from Glasgow to Nova Scotia. But every one of them knows the road home ends where the crowned lion first roared. You will still hear their pipes on a winter's night in Balquhidder. You will still meet a MacGregor in Perth, Western Australia, who can recite 20 generations without a stumble. You will still find a child in the Trossachs who dreams of Rob Roy and wakes with the taste of gunpowder on his tongue, though the last shot was fired 300 years ago. Because the oath is not broken. Because the crowned lion is still watching. Because the glen is still listening. The hills remember the proscription. The rivers remember the burning. The crowned lion still prowls the corries with mane of mist and eyes of fire. The promise she made to the first royal outlaw is calling again. Not for kings, not for pardons, but for the glen itself, for the language, for the children who should be born free to speak the name their fathers were hanged for. MacGregors of Glenstray, of Sydney, of Halifax, wherever the redcoats and the factors scattered you, the peat fire is down to embers. The glen is listening. Will you answer? Art Culla, Cuimhnichiv an anam ac I a thought, Vun. Remember the name that was taken from us, and come home. It's Misha on Shankie, and this is Thistle and Stone. Cuimhnich, Cuimhnich, Cuimhnich. 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 Falche, Gu, Cuimhnich. The memory lives until next time. Cuimhnich!